So this poor MacBook's looking a little worse for wear. It currently has no hard drive, no optical drive, and only half its RAM. But, despite its slightly dodgy condition and very dodgy Mac I believe, it does actually work. If I do that. I say this and now it's not going to fucking work. So you watch, that'll be... So, there we go. Now, again, no hard drive, no optical drive. So you'd think this would flash in a folder. But, if you give it a few seconds, it should start booting macOS 10. Like that. And if the globe wasn't enough of a giveaway, that's because this thing is being network booted. Where from? This thing. Now I'm gonna log in as other here because there's another trick up my sleeve with this setup. If I can remember my password, it's muscle memory at this point. There we go. This is logging in as me. And it should, in a second, dump me on a relatively stock-looking desktop. There we go. Just like that. Now, we can actually turn off this external drive. There we go. And now, this should be coming up to the finale of its boot process, but in the meantime... Oh look, it's another laptop. This is an iBook G4. What if I go into Other? Type those same credentials. Again, if you give it a few seconds. And while this is doing this, whatever the fuck this is doing, oh look, it's booted up into Leopard. Now, again, shall we use those same credentials? Are you getting the picture yet? Oh look, it's logging me in. This thing's taking its sweet ass time. You might notice there's no Ethernet connection to this, which may be a bit of a giveaway. You know, that dock and that dock look pretty similar, don't they? Well, that's no coincidence. This thing has netbooted and it does have its GPU driver. That was a problem for a while. Now, again, this thing has no storage. It shouldn't be able to keep anything on it. But if I come on down here and open iTunes, and again, because iTunes, give it a few seconds, you know, iTunes hasn't really gotten better over time, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Oh look, there's a full fucking music library here. And, oh look, this dock looks very similar too. What if I have a look in here? Should we create a text document on the desktop? I think we should. Foo. Save. On the desktop as foo. So, should see in a split second. Oh look, there's foo. Oh look, there's foo. Oh look. There's foo. Every single one of these computers is logged in using exactly the same user account, which is sharing all of its data. This thing is netbooted, this thing is booted off its local machine, and this thing is booted into Leopard, no, not Leopard, Lion, off its internal hard drive. This is a server, and it's providing an OS and user data to this machine, and user data to this machine. And I fucking love this. This is amazing. This thing is a completely thin client. It needs nothing but a network connection, and it can access all of my data, including my music, which is very fucking handy. This thing has a 500 gig hard drive in there, which is easy enough storage for anything I'd want to do with these Macs. And this thing, I just like the novelty of having this network, to be perfectly honest, because other than this, it's completely useless. The Wi-Fi speed in this thing is god-awfully slow, and the Ethernet doesn't work. But it works enough to do this. It syncs settings properly. The only thing I haven't tried is Mail, because I feel Mail would just not really work very well because of the way the Mail database is stored in OS X and has been for a few years. Bit of a mess. But this fucking works. And not only does it work well. This is not a slow machine. I actually installed not only just the base system, but I put iLife on here, except iMovie. Everything else works just fine. So I can have like an iPhoto. I didn't put in a serial key for the iWork suite, but they do all work. I do not plan on connecting a digital camera to this thing, iPhoto. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Now, it does take a little minute because it's not the fastest. You know, I've only got 10100 Ethernet on these things because they're old. So it's never going to be particularly speedy. And again, there's not going to be much in the photos library. And these all want me to put in the serial number. And sorry, that ain't happening because I cannot be bothered to look for one right now. But it does all work. I actually don't think I have the iLife suite installed here. I can't remember. Oh, no, I do. Yeah. They're about the same. They're pretty much equivalent. And again, all user data is shared, which means even though I only have 8 gigabytes of free space on this drive, as soon as I switch over to my user directory, oh look, there's 50. Because again, it's all on there. So what's the practical application for this? Well, in this instance, where it's just 3 fucking Macs on one desk, because I was bored, not many. But in a real-world environment, these could all be either thin clients like this, where you have... This would be better for desktops because it does need a wired connection, where you have one master server and a bunch of other Macs with no hard drive in them, with centralized login and centralized storage. So you can just distribute things. It makes updating things... It doesn't make updating things easy at all because fucking kernel caches, but whatever. It's, you know, it's all centralized. It's quite nice. For this, though, you could have a bunch of just laptops out in the field. They all connect to one centralized login server and all your user data is shared. It's just a very handy mechanism in a lot of businesses, or even in a home if you have enough computers and enough people. I don't, but, you know, I was bored. It's just a really neat solution. I'm really happy with this. I'm very pleased that it worked as well as it did, because I didn't really expect it to. Especially not netbooting. Netbooting is a pain in the arse, but, you know, this is going to come in very handy when I next get a computer in and I just want to quickly boot it up, because I can boot it up, I can test absolutely everything, because all of my everything is here. From web browsers to documents to music to videos, whatever I want to put in here. It's just all readily accessible wherever I am. And why is my iTunes library all the way over there? So yeah, that's just a quick thing I wanted to show off, because I was quite pleased with the setup I currently have going on here.